guys, Lita here. Welcome back to my channel. This is Lita from Art with Lita, and you are most welcome here. Today I've decided to do a full-on sketchbook spread. This is towards the back of my sketchbook. I'm finishing it up slowly. And I've decided to do an environment. I've done several horses, and I've also created an environment or a little world in which they could live. I got the idea of breaking up the sketchbook into just little tiny sections like this from another YouTuber called The Frugal Crafter. I highly recommend you guys look up her channel. She has all kinds of wonderful things on there, all kinds of tutorials and product reviews, and she dabbles in a lot of stuff. Her channel is definitely worth checking out. And I wanted to give this sketchbook technique a try when I saw her do it in one of her sketchbooks. And of course, I had to do horses. I put in the first couple layers there. This is going to be a landscape. It's going to be some mountains with some mist. I got all of my reference photos just off of various free places on the internet. I'm not going to be linking them this time just because there were several of them and I didn't follow them too closely, not close enough to really make it worthwhile. This is definitely more of just a fun little painting session more than anything else. I am using my Kuretake watercolors there to do this in. They are not very transparent. They can be transparent if you water them down enough, but they also act almost like a gouache if you use them just a little bit thicker. So I'm actually having fun playing around with that, making them nice and thick in places and then making them more transparent in others, and just playing around and really getting a feel for just how versatile they are. And that is how you can make a receding landscape view of mountains or hills. You just make the one in front darker, and then you just make each little hill after that just a little bit lighter in color until you hit the sky. It's dead simple, but it looks so nice and so pretty. I cut out the painting of that other little place there because I use the exact same technique really. Now, I am not the best at drawing people, and especially all this stuff was drawn freehand like I usually do. And I think she turned out okay. She has a pretty pink dress on and she's with her horse there. I guess my little land is occupied by people as well as by horses. Now, I am not a huge fan of the color brown. I really don't use it that much in my paintings. But if it's a reddish brown the way this is, then I like that. I really do like that. It's the darker browns that I tend to avoid. But if it has some red in it, that's usually acceptable. And usually when painting horses, you can't avoid the brown color altogether. So I'm trying to learn how to use it more and appreciate the color brown more. I tend to go for brighter colors. I might not look like it, but I'm actually pushing myself a little bit here to use so much brown. That paintbrush that I'm using there is a silver black velvet number 8. They are wonderful brushes. You can find them on Amazon. When they're wet, they have the most beautiful point on them, and they do hold a lot of water. They're very soft. Usually I switch between a silver black velvet and a creative mimic. The creative mimic doesn't hold quite as much water as the black velvet, so that's why I go back and forth a lot. It all depends on the piece I'm making, on whether I need more water to be released on the page or not by the paintbrush. And this time I am trying to keep things watercolory and a little bit more loose. So I went with a paintbrush that'll help me achieve that. You know, as you learn to paint, you need to know your materials. And the only way that's going to happen is if you put in the brush miles. I don't know who I heard put it that way, putting in the brush miles, but it's true. You need to get out the paper, get out your paints, and make the time to actually paint. Just paint. And sometimes you're going to love what you make. Sometimes you're going to absolutely hate it. Or sometimes you're going to think you like it until you take another look at it, and then you'll realize that it's just really bad. And that's happened to me more times than I can even say. But the way you get to know your material and familiarize yourself with your tools is by actually using them a lot. And I just want to say something real fast here. You're probably going to be seeing a lot of the same tools and materials showing up in my YouTube videos because I don't have this huge collection of stuff. And let me tell you, most professional artists don't. Don't judge yourself against all these YouTubers that are doing product reviews and doing other things. They have more stuff and they have a bigger stash of paints and colored pencils and markers and all that stuff. They have more because they're doing so many reviews. People that actually just depend on the painting and stuff, they just want things to use, you know, just to get their work done and stuff that they can use reliably. They tend to identify just a few different brands of things and then stick with it. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't need 20 different tins of colored pencils. You don't need 20 different palettes of watercolor. You find what works and what works for you, then you go with it. For example, in my watercolor, I have a palette of transparent watercolor, which you can just see on the left of the screen there. And I have a palette of more opaque watercolor, which you can see on the right side of the screen. And frankly, that's all I need. And I didn't get these things overnight. It's taken me almost 10 years to build up my watercolor palette, especially the transparent one on the left there. I have been slowly choosing colors and adding to that thing for years and years and years. It doesn't happen overnight. So don't think that you have to go out and drop all this money on all the latest stuff, because you really don't. Buy things slowly. Do proper research beforehand. You know, let some time pass from when you first decide you need it or you want it to when you actually get it, just to see if it still has the same pull and to see if you still have that same need. All right, back to what I'm doing there. I'm creating another little environment. I figure since I have all those hills going on, I might as well make the third one with hills as well. And this is more of a close-up on the ground. I love the way it's framed by those pine trees there. Now, I'm not a landscape artist. You're not going to see too many landscapes on my channel, but this was fun to make. And you can see how I accidentally added too much water to the page, and it's creating what we call cauliflowers in those mountains there. But I thought that looked pretty, like maybe some snow or some frost up on top of those mountains. At this point, I am going back and forth between both palettes, just choosing colors as I need them. And I did actually think through my colors this time. I usually don't, and I just go with whatever feels right. But I wanted, since I had so many little squares and so many, different elements going on, I did want the colors to be unified so that I can have a more cohesive spread by the time it was all said and done. So I'm using many of the exact same paints or or shades of color that are very close to each other. Yeah, I got up there and I closed the window blinds. They were blinding me, making it so you couldn't really see the page. As you can see, I'm making no attempt to get in and get very fine details or anything like that. And there's more of that brown. Like I said, I'm trying to push myself, use a bit more brown this time. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe. It actually helps my channel a lot, and it will help me get out of the YouTube algorithm jail, as some put it, and hopefully YouTube will start showing my videos to more people. Just adding on some finishing touches there and adding some shadows just to give the horses just a little bit more definition. Actually, at the time when I'm filming this voiceover for this video, it is freezing cold outside, and looking at those nice, beautiful mountain landscapes and that nice warm environment, it makes me wish I was somewhere a little bit warmer. I have decided to do the background in. That is a Sharpie marker. I'm not sure exactly what they're called. I'll go ahead and I'm going to be writing down all the supplies I used in the description below. I did find that pack of Sharpies at Walmart, a whole pack of them for like $20, I think it was. Pretty cheap, and the colors look very nice. The nibs are very soft and they're pretty opaque too, so I was very happy with that purchase. I don't use them as much as maybe I should, but they are fun to get out once in a while. See that nice bright color? I love bright colors. Now, because some of the watercolor I was using was opaque, I'm just going back over those dark outlines and darkening them up a bit more, making sure they're nice and black. And last but not least, I'm going to be going over the whole thing in pen. This is a mixed media piece at the end of the day, even though I used a lot of watercolor. I think my beloved white painter's acrylic marker is starting to give out. I'm going to have to start looking for another one. It's just not showing up as well on paper anymore. Now, I have decided to not add any ink to the landscapes. I think the landscapes turned out so nicely that they pretty much can stand on their own. They don't need anything more added to them. But the horses and the girl, they needed just a little bit more help. So they're gonna get the inking. Actually, I am pretty much done with this sketchbook. I think I have finally finished all the pages, and I will be doing a sketchbook tour soon, so keep an eye on my channel. Well, that's all I have for today. Be blessed, guys. Stay safe. Lita out.